During the course of Viridian Flashback, it's been clear that of all the genres that have appeared on the big green, horror games are a little few and far between. That's not to say there aren't any good ones on the console. I mean, just look at the Fatal Frames, the Sufferings, the 2 Silent Hills. I mean, those are some good horror titles. Even Capcom threw the big green a horror bone with some of their IPs, even if they weren't Resident Evil. But there are those that slip through the cracks, either due to not a lot of publicity, or the fact that the Xbox 360 was soon to be unleashed upon the gaming masses. That's where today's game comes in. 2003's Curse: The Eye of Isis. I can't lie to you, I've never heard of this game before, until I was looking at the master list of all Xbox games released, trying to find another horror game for the month. But luckily for us, this happens to be our good friend Stefan's Patreon request for the month, so what better way to cap off the Halloween festivities than by playing a scary game that you've never played before? So let's dive into Curse: The Eye of Isis and see if it's more of a blessing in disguise. The tale of Curse takes place in the year 1890 at the Museum of Natural History in Great Britain, where a group of thugs are there to steal the titular statue, when a mysterious fog engulfs the building, killing anyone that comes in contact with it and changing them into undead creatures. Around this time, Darian Dane comes to visit the museum to see his friend Victoria Sutton, a curator there as well as a fellow archaeologist. Sadly, though, they are both drawn into a horrific nightmare that will take them across the world in order to survive. I have to admit, I really dig the story told here in Curse, especially considering that you don't see that many games, horror ones at that take place in this time period. Plus, the main characters are quite likable and, unintentionally, remind me of Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz in the Mummy films. Then again, this did come out after the first 2 Mummy films, so maybe there is some influence there. Also, Abdul is one of the best characters in the game, but I'll explain that one later. At first glance, you'd think that Curse is a kind of Resident Evil clone, and for the most part, you'd be right. The pieces are definitely there. You explore the area solving puzzles and surviving against deadly creatures with limited resources in order to progress through the story. But if anything, Curse plays more akin to the GameCube classic Eternal Darkness, in where the camera angles move with you and your controls aren't tank-based. Also, just like Eternal Darkness, you can aim at different body parts of the creatures to weaken their advances, which is always appreciated. Yet another thing from Eternal Darkness is the Sanity Meter. Well, it might not really be a sanity meter, but that's what I call it. During combat, if you're hit by the mustard-colored fart gas that is spewed about, your sanity meter starts to rise. If it gets too high, your health is quickly drained, leading to death. You can relieve this by using menthol to lower the effect, as well as smelling salts for health, and amulets dropped by mummies that cure both. Throughout your hellish adventure, you'll not only play as Darian, but switch to Victoria at certain points, though they both play the same. Each character can hold up to 4 weapons that are found throughout the game, like a pistol, rifle, shotgun, flamethrower, crossbow, mortar gun, and what is quite possibly the most powerful club I've seen in a video game. Now, even though I said Curse is a survival horror in which your resources are limited, I actually didn't have this problem. In fact, I was pretty stocked up on ammo and healing items, so much that I was running out of inventory space to pick up key items. That's where our good friend Abdul comes into play. Essentially, he's your portable item box, appearing in certain spots of relief for you to not only store your items, but to save as well. Basically, Abdul is a walking typewriter/item box. Storing items actually comes in handy, as when you're playing as Victoria, she can access the items Abdul is holding, in case she needs ammo, health, or a key item. You can also switch items between Darian and Victoria when they're near each other. I gotta say, the gameplay is pretty solid here, though there were 2 things that did bother me just a little bit. First was when you're checking your map. You can't move the map around to get a better view of your surroundings, so if you get lost, you'll have to constantly open the menu and check your map. Again, nothing major. The other thing is that some objects, like buttons and levers, are hard to activate due to the detection boxes being a bit off. Again, this is nothing game-breaking, it's just slightly annoying. But other than that, Curse is a pretty fun horror game. For the visuals, Curse may not be the best looking game, but it has a certain charm to it. There are only 3 major areas you explore: the museum and sewers, a boat, and a pyramid in Egypt, but each area is nicely detailed. Though I have to say the fog effects outside on the boat are just a bit jarring. As for the cast of characters, both good and evil, I got a big Time Splitters vibe from them with their animated style looks, which I actually loved. Getting into the audio, the music, while there isn't much of it, does a good job adding to the spooky tone of each area. Although, it wasn't apparently that memorable, as I couldn't find it online to play in the background. Granted, the game goes for more ambient sounds, so it is understandable, although the sound that plays when a mummy shows up is just priceless. Voice acting is decent here, but nothing really to rave about. I did enjoy the performances of Darian, Victoria, and Abdul, though, while the other NPCs were okay. Really not much else to say on that.
I met him earlier, but I last saw him around the time the police started arriving. Oh, Darian, it's been terrifying. You've no idea.
Believe me, I've seen some things tonight that I simply can't explain. It's affecting everything. Once or twice I've come too close, and it's made me feel nauseous.
This Wahid had information of your father's relating to the curse. I didn't believe it when I read it. I've heard so many scare stories. But if there's a chance it could help us create some protection against its effects... Darian, I must get those pages back.
Is Curse the Eye of Isis an underrated game? I think it is. While it seemed to be mostly ignored when it came out, I feel it's a fun horror romp that could be broken out every Halloween for a few hours of spooky fun. Sure, it doesn't reinvent the horror wheel, but since the Big Green was devoid of Capcom's flagship horror series, it's nice to even have an off-brand sometimes. So there you have it, a good horror game to end the month on. Not bad. As always, I'd like to thank Stefan for his choice, though I am kind of wondering what he's got in store for November. But, we'll get to that when we get to it. So with that, I want to wish you all a very happy Halloween, stay safe out there, and as always, this is the Dali Popka saying, stay green, my friends. I'll see you next time. Hey everyone, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this episode and want more of me and the Big Green, then click that subscribe button and the bell to get notified when new content arrives. I want to say a special thank you to my patrons for helping not just the channel grow, but me as a creator. You have my forever thanks. If you're interested in the channel and would like to help it grow further, consider becoming a patron today. For the cost of a soda or an item on the dollar menu, you can help myself and the channel provide the best source of Big Green programming and more. Once again, all the thanks and love.